Right, suns and rising moons, fellow droids, welcome to another episode of Not the Droids podcast. I'm Danny.
And I'm Mayuri, and today we are going to be talking about episodes 19 and 20 of Young Jedi Adventures, which I'm very excited. We have reached now the Life Day episode for this
Happy Life
show.
Day!
Happy Life Day, which we should all know. If you don't know what Life Day, we actually did a special episode earlier this week on the Star Wars Holiday Special, which kind of explains everything about it. And
Well,
it
we
was
didn't
fun to see
necessarily
it.
do it on the episode. We talked about the episode
That's true.
and what Life Day means because, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, the special is a lot, but the episode did talk about Life Day, what it means. So we have our Life Day episode, Raxlo Strikes Back, and then Aftershock and Feather Frenzy, which was funny. But Danny, can you speak on when they were released originally?
All right, so episode 19 was released on Disney Plus November 8th, and then Disney Junior December 1st, and then episode 20 was released on February 14th,
Oh,
2024. I know. I saw that. I was like, oh, we have a big break here.
and it's like not even like a mid-season break because we're closing in on the end of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
We've seen a few of those happen, so it almost feels like they release these quarterly.
Maybe. Maybe they released it like to keep kids engaged because like my nephews watch the same 5 episodes of things over and over and over
Yeah,
again. So maybe it was just that kind of I never really understand kids programming and the release schedule.
nobody does.
I was like, do they just release it when they have it? Like,
I don't think. I also think like the first year they were trying to figure out if it was going to go somewhere, like releasing the short, then a chunk for May the 4th because that was like a big Star Wars day, then like the
yeah.
start of the school year. And then
So
it
they
went
must have just released like maybe they made the episodes in chunks and
I'd
then
like to say
like
it's a half season, but we're so close to the end of the season. It's
it doesn't make
not.
sense.
Like there's only
No.
a few episodes till we're at the end. So we are looking at episode 19 first, Life Day, and we're hanging out on Kashyyyk, the Wookiee planet.
And I know that we talked about we earlier we were like I wonder how young Jedi is going to do it. And I really like that they like made it clear that Life Day was known throughout
Yes.
the galaxy as like the best holiday of the
Very
year.
the young Jedis are excited. They love this holiday.
And I like that they went to the Wookiee home planet to
Yes.
actually experience it as like an outing with was Master Zia's there?
Yes. I really wanted Nubs and the Wookiees to be able to communicate, but Liz was just translating for everyone.
Also, I love that Liz was like, when I found out we were coming here, I looked up the language and learned a little bit. And then she acted as the full translator the
Yes.
entire time. I was
Entire
just like,
time.
as someone who has studied a little bit of a language when I went abroad, that is not fact.
Especially,
But it,
but she speaks. I just feel like she speaks Poobian, so maybe she just has a skill. But also, if it's close to Poobian, then Nubs and
Joe,
Jokshaka, Joe for short, should be able to communicate. But that didn't seem the case.
no. But I also love that she spoke it because I feel like
Yes.
we only ever hear people speaking English to Wookiees. I've never personally heard any character actually speak in. So we keep calling it like Wookiee. And I think you
Uh,
told me the name of the language before.
Russell did.
I forgot what Russell said. What did he say? Because in the subtitles, they called it Shriwook.
Yep, that's what it is.
So that's why I
The
was just,
Wookiees speak multiple language. Please, if this is wrong, I apologize. This is Google AI. Shriwook, the most common Wookiee language, also known as Wookiee speak. Um, Shriwook is made up of growls and howls and is difficult to learn because of the Wookiee's throat shape. Uh, then Thai-Karen, a dialect of Shriwook spoken by Kashyyyk natives, and then It starts with an X. Please excuse my pronunciations. Zakzik, a language spoken on the Wartaki Islands of Kashyyyk.
Huh. So it's funny that Liz was speaking Shriwook, I assume,
Hmm.
because it's supposed to be difficult. So I don't know. I thought it was fun.
But she speaks
Um,
Nubian. Like I just feel like they're related.
but we've never heard her speak Pubian to
No, she just
Nubs.
translates.
And that's where I was like, this time they had her actually speaking the Wookiee speak.
Yes.
And so I was like, that was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
Um, I do love that they kind of went in a little bit like how Joe was excited because this is the first year that they're allowed to participate in the Life Day
Well, it's not
ceremony.
that they're allowed to participate, it's that they get to hang the
The orb, yes.
treasured family globe,
Heirloom.
heirloom globe. We meet, before we go into that, we meet Chief Wittigick.
Yeah, I didn't even try and write that down. I'm not gonna lie.
I think I missed grandma's name.
There was a grandma.
It was a grandma or grandpa. They like introduced them like right in the beginning, right before Chief Wittigick.
Oh, I passed right over that.
That's
I
fine.
was just like, they're not important. They're just family. Um, no, I don't know why I thought it was gonna be anything else. I was like, oh, pretty orbs. And as soon as Liz picked one up, I was like,
We
no,
know what's happening.
no, we know what's going to happen. And it was her fault. I will give her that. But I also think was it Kai that she hit when she turned around?
Well, she was calling Kai and Nubs
And then she
as
like
she turned
turned
around and she hit
around.
Kai. Yeah.
And I was like, Kai, it's partially your fault
I don't think
too.
it's his fault. She called them over.
That's I will agree to disagree. Like, why did he get up so close? That being said, he could not have predicted that she was going to turn around.
Yeah. I
So,
I think for once, Kai is not actually at fault here, and Liz really is the problem this episode.
oh, why would
She is
she pick it up?
she's always about teamwork, and she like is like, I will do this on my own. I don't
She
need your
literally
help.
sprinted out the door. And I was just like, whoa, that was wild.
Yeah.
Liz was like, it's mine, my problem. I did the mistake. I'll go fix it.
On this planet
I've
I don't know
never
anything
been
about.
to.
Yeah.
Also, like, no one was really concerned that she just started running off on her own. They were mostly just like, she should have some help. And I was like, no one's like, oh, where is she gonna go? She doesn't know anybody. How is she gonna know where to go and
No,
come
she's like
back?
a quarter of the size of the Wookiees. Like she can get stomped on pretty easily.
Well, but like that's what happened when she was going through
Yeah.
the marketplace, right? Like everyone kept tripping over her. And that's why I was just laughing. I will say, watching her go down the tree is another instance where I was watching it and I just started yelling, parkour, because I have now ruined this for myself. Every time the Jedi are just going from bump, 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 bump in my head, I'm just like, I'm just,
Sure.
yes. I can't get around it. I will say though, they're very good at it. They're very good at it.
They are.
Um, there were so many round things in the market.
Blue round things, not just round things. Blue round things.
I was like, why are there so many? My favorite was when Nubs found the stall of orbs because
He was so proud of
he
himself.
was so proud of himself. It was like so close, bro, so close.
So close.
Um, but yeah, and then the
I feel like
berries,
Nubs
which
is becoming our comic relief.
he's
Like the way he like
definitely the comic
falls,
reliefs.
like he's definitely like the comic relief of the show.
And I think that suits him, right? Like I like that he's becoming more of the comic relief as
Mm.
opposed to before where he
Just
felt
not.
more of a side character before,
Yeah.
but now he's part of the dynamic of
Yeah.
the show. Like he's where you're looking to see what he's doing. So I like that. Um Liz also went off to save the orb by herself that was like flying away.
Yes.
And it was another instance where I like as soon as she started, I knew what was going to happen. I
Hmm.
was like, she's carrying it over all on her own. on her own force.
I'm kind of glad that it broke. I felt like it was a better message that it did actually end up breaking.
Yeah.
And it
Though
wasn't just rescued and restored.
I will say it's funny that it broke from that fall and not the fall off the tree.
No, it broke from the fall where she was going
Yeah, and then
crazy.
she almost fell and died again.
Yes. Well, she's
Um,
not again. Kai is the again. Liz doesn't really we hadn't really seen
See
her
that.
fall.
That's true. That is true. Kai's usually the one that like gets
Yeah,
himself
she
in
was
dumb
very in her
situations.
head this round.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? You are correct. And I think that's the lesson that just because so I would say I didn't like call out a specific lesson, but it was very much
This whole
like,
set, I don't think there was any really lines that were the lessons.
yeah, I think it's just like the same themes as before.
Mhm.
But this one was also the lesson was that
I
like not everything turns out
yeah.
okay.
I do have
And
a
that's
quote for
okay.
this one.
Ooh, I love you. You're much better than me about the quotes.
The feast reminds us that the most important part of the day is being together with friends and family, which also lies into the like use your support system.
Yeah, and I think that's where it's like the teamwork is the support system and they like you're supposed to use them.
But my
Um
favorite part after this is translated by Yoda is one of the Wookiees go, and the food.
and the
I'm like,
food
oh,
and
it sounds like
Nubs
Thanksgiving.
obviously Nubs agrees. But um I will say there was a moment between Liz and Nubs after she cracks it
Mm.
and she's so upset that um I have down that he was like her voice of reason, that like
Mhm.
he calmed her down and like talked her
Those are
down from
friendship
this.
goals. Nubs and Liz are friendship goals.
Yeah, he talked her down, which was nice. It kind of lends to our theory that the two of them are very good friends.
Yes.
And like Kai is like the Steve in the
He's
situation.
kind of the third wheel.
Yeah. But it was a good episode. I liked it. It was, I will say, the Wookiees were a lot less disturbing to watch on this show than the Star Wars holiday special.
They were
I
also
was,
cartoons,
I know they're
so
cartoons, but they're cute.
they're
Like,
cute, but it's a kid show. But yes,
whatever.
no, I agree. This was
I
kid friendly.
I
I don't,
enjoy the animated depiction of the Wookiees.
yes, I did too. And then Joe was a kid. I do enjoy when they make
Like
like,
a Wookiee kid.
yes. So
So
our next episode is
Raxlow Strikes Back.
Evil Chicken Little
Listen,
has
not so
returned.
evil Chicken Little, apparently. No, I honestly, the episode started and I was like, OMG, the Welligrids are back.
We got the Wellegrins. Jam and Gumar are back.
It was so cute. And I was like, ooh, here's another environmentalist. So you'll note that all of the Raxlow episodes are all environmental, like
They're
environment.
very, but it makes sense. He has a harvesting machine.
Yes, he has a
And he's
harvesting
like trying to find
machine.
money. It is the story of the Lorax that you still don't know.
Listen, I don't know that story, but I have seen many people dressed as a Lorax
You know, but
between all the
like you
Comic
literally
Cons.
just went to Universal for your birthday and they have an entire
I
Lorax
didn't
set
even
up.
I didn't even go to that section. Like
Raxo knows all the kids' names except
he
for the furry
does.
one.
Well, he's also a feathery one, so maybe like internalized hatred
I think it's
of
just because
his.
he doesn't know Poobian. I think that's really what it comes down to. He's like,
I
I
like how he was
don't
like, I don't understand what the furry one is saying.
yeah.
Like, because also I would expect that Raxlo might know Poobian, and I love that like Nubs had like a whole thing, and he just looked at him and was like, "What?
I
What does
don't
that
know.
mean?"
I don't know what that meant.
Um, the frozen snow when they were just like the Welligrins swim better through travel better in frozen snow, and I was like, I understand what you mean by frozen snow as someone from the Northeast, all of the different textures of snow.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm wondering
And
if
you're
it's like
like ice?
powder.
Yeah.
Well, also this is like frozen snow. There's icy snow and then there's
I
powder
think what
snow.
like the reference were more so was that it wasn't slush because like they were in
Yes.
slush and that's why they were you know how it is tough to travel through slush.
Yes. Um,
We know what sledding snow is and that's what they need.
so that was cool. But I also, as soon as that happened, I was like, the eggs. Oh no. I was like, that the eggs are definitely, but as soon as, I mean, I knew the title of the episode, but I knew as soon as they were like, the snow is melted, I was like, oh, Raxlow and his harvester are
Mhm.
up to no good.
Looking for tango rocks that are a powerful energy source. And now, because of these rotten kids, meddling kids,
But he planned
security
ahead this
droid.
time. The security droids, and I was like, it reminds me of like all the little, I've seen little clips of things where Jedi are like training, lightsaber training. We
Yes.
saw it in Young Jedi at the beginning. I've seen it in some of the movies. And so it
Hmm.
kind of reminded me of those droids because I,
Yes.
so we got to see some saber skills, and I feel like
We
it's
did.
they've
And
done,
they've improved.
they've done a pretty good job of like showing their improvement.
Yes.
Or I should go this way because it's getting better. Which was nice. And I also think it was funny that they like snuck onto Raxlow's ship. They're like, "How are we gonna do it?" And Nubs was like, "The
Oh, the
door is
door's still
open."
open.
Like, not that complicated. The door is still open. Let's go.
One
And then
minute. 1 minute.
yeah. And then my favorite was that they threatened him by saying, if you don't do what we ask you to do, we're gonna push
All the buttons.
buttons.
It makes me think of Tiny Toons and Plucky Duck, where he's like,
Oh God, I don't know what that means either. I'm so sorry.
how am I going to make references to things that you just are like,
You know what? You should make the references because everyone else will understand them.
so they push all the buttons.
There are so many buttons. My
Also,
favorite is him going back and be like, no, 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 no. And then like I saw the avalanche coming. I honestly was like, every time they were messing with the snow, I was like, do we remember the last time? Do we
yeah.
learn nothing about avalanches? Um, but I did think it was funny. And I also want to note to Raxlow that anytime he like builds or buys an add-on to his harvester, he gets foiled and that part gets ruined. One is still sitting under that like tree,
Yes.
and now the laser is like buried in the snow.
I think the laser survived. He just chose to change it. I do appreciate that instead of it being the kids, Gumar is who reasoned with him. And it was like, you just had to
Yeah.
ask. I would have showed you where you could have gone.
I feel like that's kind of the lesson a little bit
Hmm.
that like you can't you don't know what you can do unless you ask first.
Yes.
Um because and I'm like I like the moment that they had with Raxla, which I think they don't really get with any of the other villains, right? Like Tabor is mean just to be mean. Uh
Raxel's just like trying to make a living. And he even says it. He's like, I'm just trying to earn some money. You guys always show up.
yeah, like he's not malicious. He's just trying to get by. And
Yeah.
I think that there's a little bit of a lesson there too. Like there are some people who do things because they are malicious and they're doing
Mhm.
bad things because they are bad,
Yeah, and Raxel had no idea about the eggs.
right?
Like
Like
he just found a spot that he thought was good.
and I feel like he did that with the tree right
Yeah.
before as well. And I'm trying to remember what he was doing like the first time we
And he
met
was
him.
cutting down the trees from all the little chipmunk looking creatures.
Yeah, so like I feel like every time we like I comment that it's been easy to convince him to change his mind. And I think it's because he's inherently not doing
Just didn't
things
know.
he just didn't know.
And with this
Uh
one, he has a resolution. He's like, oh, I can work.
and
And he's like, And now that you have told me about these eggs, instead of using a laser, I got a snowplow, and now the babies are having a great time.
Because he's just making piles for them to play in, which
Yeah.
was so
He's like
cute.
now friends with them, and he's like, and this one comes and says hi to me regularly.
His little friend. And I'm just like, I hope we never see Raxlow as like a villainous character ever again.
We're getting some really good quippy lines, and we skated by this one, but I really enjoyed "Don't interrupt me when I'm monologuing."
I think I missed that.
We're
That
getting
was
some
fun.
strong, it was the whole button situation.
Oh,
We're
yes.
getting some strong, like one-liner zingers going these last two episodes, and I'm really enjoying it.
They're finally like, we know the kids. We know most of the villains. We know some of the side characters. Like,
But
we
now
can
we're
kind of,
getting a little bit of personality.
yes, we can play around with personality. Um, but we did in the next episode, Aftershock, we got new characters.
We did. We got Mina. We got Prince
We have,
Cyrus. We got
yes,
King. I didn't
Picor?
Pachor, something like I usually write these
Pichor.
down phonetically, and I thought I would remember that one, and I didn't. Queen
Uh,
Daphne,
yes.
and then we got security droids,
Okay. But we also,
CK-38.
so I've been calling CK-38 an admin droid. I know it's like a security-ish droid, but as an admin myself, I was just like,
He's like
LOL.
a house manager droid.
Yes, like a house manager droid. Because they came out and they were like, do you have an appointment? If you do
Yeah.
not have an appointment, you cannot
Yeah.
come in. And I was like, oh my
He's in
God,
charge of the security droids. Yeah.
I've never related to a droid so much in my life because that's part of my job too. Like, let's make an appointment. Um,
And
I do,
then before you continue, the Fathiers are the creature. They were
yes, I
side.
was trying to figure out what they were saying, the creature that was like stuck in the brick that they were getting at the
Yeah.
beginning. And I think we are on a new planet, Vundala.
Boondala. Yep, that's correct.
And I like that kind of the episode theme was actually class disparity,
Mm-hmm.
which is wild for a
Yes.
kids TV show. I was like, ooh, I like how they characterized it so that it was like so very obvious.
Yes.
Um,
But I feel like
but
that also sets up like the Star Wars universe in a way.
yeah, that actually, now that you say that, that does make, because it is such a big thing there, right? Like
Hmm.
the leaders are in their palace and they're like, they have all the resources. And
Yes.
then when they go to look at what they're doing with the resources, it's like, oh, we're just repairing our stables.
And then like the whole like we've never met the villagers.
I know, where like
They're
Prince
fine.
Cyrus, like, I've never been down there and he's such a brat.
He is,
Um,
but we understand why. But he's a brat that is able to learn.
Yeah, but like I feel like I do like in these instances where Kai does go off with the new character that clearly has some of the same issues that he had earlier on
Yes.
in his Jedi
Yes, it was
training.
very much like looking like in a mirror.
Yes.
Um, and the way that like Master Zia gets him separated
Manipulated.
is literally to talk about Starlight Beacon
Yes, I was just like, why the interest in Starlight Beacon?
because
And
it's like the it thing.
yeah, they're like just like trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Yes.
And so that's where I was just like, that was amazing. And like, as we go through, like, we do all of these things, and at the end, the parents are still not changed. But I think what changed them is their interest to get on Starlight Beacon.
Yeah.
And that's why. And I think Master Zia, I don't know if I missed this, but she must have talked to them about joining the Republic and what is required of your planet
Yes.
to join the Republic. So I was like,
I
that was
think
some.
Master Zia was like, I can work on the parents. The kids got Cyrus. I
So
trust them.
I'm a little impressed with Master Zia's like manipulation of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was saying I put a note earlier when Kai was talking to Prince Cyrus about how he was battling the droids when he didn't have to, and he was telling him to calm down.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Kai. the growth, the
Yeah.
personal growth. And I will say, I also, that last security droid that came to collect him was very Danger Will Robinson. It was like huge. And I was like, whoa.
It's a good
They
reference.
sent
I'm
like,
proud of you.
did you not think I would know that reference? I don't know the original, but I do know
You
the
saw
one
the
with Joey. Feather Frenzy, which it, I was glad to see Nash in one of these episodes, but I will say the flight training in the beginning, I was like going back to our old flight training episode, and
yeah.
I was like, whoa, again, growth. That's why I'm like, there must be a solid time jump between episodes for
I
them
think
to like
so.
do all this other stuff too. But it was nice to finally see Nash, and Nash was just so flustered um about the situation. And I nothing could have prepared me for what was actually the situation. I was like, oh, a bunch of rocks. I did the same thing the young Jedi did. I was like, there's a bunch of rocks there. I was like, oh,
Um,
birds.
Birds. I did. I was like, Liz doesn't know these birds. She's just like, oh, birds.
Yes, it took a very long time
I
for us to
understood why
find
they did
out.
that, but I was just like, why doesn't she know what these are?
The whole
And
episode, I have it 4 times. I'm like, what kind of birds? What kind of birds?
hmm,
And it makes sense why they did it.
it makes
I
sense.
It was also nice to see the actual shop that Nash's moms run,
Yeah, the garage is there.
the
Find
garage.
out that her moms are bringing back Grip Liskell as a potential client and her task to clean the shop, but these birds have taken over.
Yes.
Um,
So
so they try everything they can. Nash making the Tuka cat sounds and the bird just laughing at her.
I wrote that down too. I was like, the laugh of the bird just at her impression. That was just like so wild to me. Um, I like that they did not connect that maybe one of the reasons the birds might have just landed because they have space, but there's that fruit all around.
Yeah.
And I was like,
But
I'm
Nubs
glad
is
that
like,
she
let's feed them all and see what happens.
and then more came and I'm like, I could have told you that as someone who
Yeah,
has
but if you think about it, like kids aren't going to necessarily be like, food brings more animals. We're like, where you're like,
that's
oh,
true.
maybe if they're fed, they'll go away because they've had dinner
Because
and they can
that's
go home.
because like that's what would happen with me, right? Like with a kid, it's just like, oh, they would love the food, not thinking it would get worse.
Yeah.
Not thinking that maybe part of the reason why they did land there is because there's all this fruit lying around.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
yeah,
because of those new birds coming,
they figured out what they were,
Liz sees them open their wings and figures out they're baby firehawks. And
which
then,
I did
mhm.
not ever connect was like the firehawk was named after an animal. Did we ever know
We
that?
never discussed that. I don't think we ever really connected it because we hadn't met the firehawks yet.
So it was a kind of nice tidbit that like the Crimson Firehawk is actually named after a animal.
Yes. And Nash has figured out that where they like to live is in a rocky area, which would be Grip's Landing. So now they have to lead them there.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. And I think the little lesson in here is when like Nash's mom's call and it's like everything has to be great and Nash has that moment where she's just like,
Just make a
do I
decision.
do I go back and clean because that's what's expected of me or do I finish this like thing that I promised to do, which
And
is
only
be
I can do right now.
because your ship is the thing
They are
that is leading me.
following. Did you catch the quote that I would love?
No, I did not.
Oh, gasket thrusters.
I did not catch that. I think I'm just like so used to them saying like the wildest things. Gasket thrusters.
But it's so like because the blaster bolts was what like Kai has said it, a droid has said it, Gasket thrusters is very much something Nash would say because she's the one that says it when her moms are calling.
Yeah, and it's in relation to what they do. Yeah.
We're like, no, this makes sense.
Oh, gasket thrusters.
It'll be used in some commentary at some point. I'll work it in.
So yeah, so that I thought like she did, they finished, they came home late, and I love her mom's being like, We're so glad you're safe. You did not let us know what you were doing. We thought you would be here." And then
Yeah.
also, it's like a like don't tell mom the babysitter's dead situation. Is like, what happened?
There's just like purple feathers everywhere. But we
Can you
find
imagine?
out Grip
Like
Lascelles, who has an awesome name, loves firehawks.
I was just like, Nash, I relate to you because I feel like I get into a lot of situations where I choose to do one thing and maybe it's not the thing I was supposed to be doing. And yet somehow the two of them have circled around and met each other that the thing I chose to do made the thing I was supposed to do even better. And so I feel like that's what happened with Nash. She just lucked into it.
She got lucky, but she did make the right decision in the end.
Yeah.
Um, do we think that so there's a certain creature that comes up more than it should on the Creating Magic podcast, and we laugh about it, and it popped in my head. Do we think that the Firehawks have any relation to the Thunderbird? To Frank, specifically the Thunderbird, who lives in
Oh,
Arizona?
no. They don't have powers
Don't
that
they?
we know of. Do they have
They're
powers?
ginormous. That thing was as big as the ship.
But that doesn't mean it has powers. It's just a big bird. Do we not remember the creature from the cave? Like, I feel like so many of these Star Wars creatures are ginormous.
They really are.
All of them. And it's just like they have the space, right? Like they live on all these planets. Like it makes sense. I think that's hilarious that that is your first thought. Be like, let me bring this in. It's the Thunderbird. It's Frank.
It's
Cousins.
unplanned, but there's been like 3 or 4 episodes where Frank the Thunderbird has come up naturally. And we're like, what is going on with Frank the Thunderbird?
I don't know. That's Frank the Thunderbird from Fantastic
Fantastic Beasts.
Beasts. Yeah. I have seen them a few times, but I don't pay too close attention because that's not I'm
He
not
literally saves the city.
I know, but I've lost interest in the movies by the
That's
time that
fine.
happens. Um,
Who won the shows series set for?
so I will say out of all 4 episodes, this I feel like we're a solid 4 where there was no standouts according to the Jedi, right?
Nash was a standout in this last one.
Like of the Jedi group, there was no
Yeah.
standout, but
No.
Nash, I would say, has won these 4
Yes.
because her contribution, her critical thinking, all of that stuff
Mhm.
really stood out. Whereas in the other episodes, the young Jedi don't
Well, the only
stand
one that
out.
really had a highlight was Liz, and she just felt so out of character.
Yeah,
Like, Nash didn't cause her own problem. Liz
yeah.
caused her own problem. Because even if like they would have dropped it and she would have asked for help, we would have resolved it sooner, but she caused more of the problem, which led to it breaking.
But I
Whereas Nash was trying to fix a problem, knew to call her friends who were out training and possibly busy and didn't like expect like she called her
yeah.
friends in to help. She knew when she needed help, and her moms were not available because they were with this client. And like Nash figured out a way and worked together and like didn't cause the issues. She found a way to resolve it and then had to make a very tough decision
Yeah.
on what she would do.
Do you know what also kind of occurred to me watching that episode? Jedi children and children of the galaxy grow up very differently
Hmm.
because children in the galaxy, like watching Nash stress over making sure her moms land a client so that their family has enough income to live. Whereas Jedi children are, yes, training in the
They're just
Force,
training. Their food is
but
provided for. They always have what they need.
so they don't, their personalities are not like, and not their personalities, but like their development is not focused around need, like life needs.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to
Yeah, their
like,
their goal is to help others so they see others' needs, but they don't have needs themselves.
yeah. So it was kind of interesting to see that in their friendship in that episode.
Yes.
But that's also why I like Nash for the winner of this, because it's like you actually see the most development there.
I agree. And the Welligrens win because baby Welligrens are adorable.
The baby Weller grades were so cute. But I'll say like we got fed a little bit in these episodes. We also got a new droid. We got a lot of droids in the Aftershock episode
Yes.
that had personality, because even the security droid that was like trying to stop the prince was like, please just go home. Like we don't want to do this.
Yeah,
And I was like, wow, there was some personality there. But yeah, no, I really did like it.
I did too.
Um, I would say if anybody has some thoughts about these episodes, we're really coming to the end of this season. Like, definitely go over to the Fable.
Mm-hmm.
We're always loving the comments. It's always so good to read. And I think it would be interesting to like kind of see where we're at before the last
And
I
we
think
also
what do
want
we
to
have?
know who's like
5.
joining along in the conversation.
Yeah, like so I'm what did I want to say? It's really great to see things from other people's perspectives as opposed to like we've been doing this for a little bit. So I feel like while I'm watching the episodes, I can kind of hear your thoughts coming up in the back. Like, if Tabor comes in an episode, like that's it. I'm done. I don't
Yep.
care what the young Jedi did. Tabor is it. Um, but yeah, so it is nice to hear from other people.
And always remember, we're not the droids you're looking for.
But we're the droids you're gonna get.